We will go ahead and get started. And again, if you weren't in here when I introduced myself, my name is Ginny McGee, and I'm an instructional designer in the e-learning division. And co-hosting with me today is Rosalia DiNardo, and she is the assistant director of the e-learning division. And so what we're going to do today is go over using the conferences tool in Canvas, and then also using the Zoom tool to be able to record videos, and also as an option for live streaming for open office hours and things like that. So if at any point in time you've got a question, please feel free to go ahead and type it into the chat. And as I mentioned, Rose is going to be kind of monitoring that for me. And I'll stop periodically and she can let me know what questions there are that you have had. Okay, so we're going to start with the conferences tool in Canvas. And I'm going to use a fake course here as my example. So before we get too far into this, I do want to mention that according to the deans and what we have been told, instructors are being asked not to require their students to be logged in for synchronous instruction. So not to require them to have to attend a video conferencing session live. And so the nice thing about both of these tools that we're going to look at today is that you can record with both of them, and then you can make those videos available to your students. So if you want to have students in a conference but record it for those that can't be there, or you can use them just as a video recording tool without any students in there while you're recording. And we'll look at both of those options. So in your Canvas course, when you are looking over on the left-hand navigation menu, the tool that we're going to be working with today is called the Conferences tool. And I do want to point out here that in this particular course, the Conferences tool is disabled, which means that it is not visible to students. So even though I can get into it and I can start a conference, my students at this point would not be able to get in here. They wouldn't be able to actually see any conference that I've set up. So what you need to do, if you do see that you have this eyeball with a line through it telling you that your course is, or that your conferences tab is disabled, you'll need to first go to settings. And then you're going to click on navigation. And you can do this whenever you need to hide or enable any of your items in Canvas. And you'll find the Conferences tab here. And then you'll just drag it up above this line. And it bounced back down. Let me put it back up here. And then just don't forget to click Save down at the bottom. All right, so I am going to click on my Conferences tab now. And this was my old example conference, so I'm going to end it. So this is your Conferences tab. And when you want to schedule a conference, you can come here and click this Add Conference button. So you're going to click that button, and you're going to give your conference a name. So you might want to call it, let's say, Open Office Hours. And then under Type, big blue button is the only type. So the Conferences tool in Canvas is run through the big blue button platform. And down here is the duration. So the duration sounds like this is going to be how long the meeting is going to last, but actually what this means is this is how long into the session you will allow new students to enter. So if it's open office hours and you're going to be available for an hour and a half, you might say, all right, I'm going to let students enter up to an hour in, or an hour and 15 minutes. If you want to make sure that you don't have somebody that's just getting in a minute until you're getting ready to get out and they have a ton of questions. And then down below is where if you want to enable the recording for a conference, you have to check this button. Now, you still will need to click a record button once the conference starts, but you won't even have that record button if you haven't checked this box. And then down here is where you would choose if you don't want to have a time limit. So if you're not concerned with students entering late, you can check this box, and then you won't even have the option to put a duration in. Your description down here can be whatever you feel is necessary for your students to know. And then down at the bottom, you're going to see that invite all course members is checked by default. So if you are wanting everybody in your course to be able to click on that conferences tab and see a join button there for the conference, then just leave this checked. But if you're setting something up that's only for one specific student or a couple of specific students, then you're going to want to uncheck that. And then you're going to see a list of all of your students there. And then you can just check those that you want to offer this invitation to. And the others will not even see that there's a conference going on if they click on their conferences tab. When you are finished, now you're going to notice that there is not a calendar button here. There's not a place where you're going to designate a certain time or date for this to happen. So we're going to click update. And basically what's going to happen is when you're ready for this to start, you're just going to come here and click start, and that could be at any time. So your students, even though they may get a notification that's telling them that they have a conference, depending on how they've set their notifications, they're probably not going to notice or know to click on this conferences button unless you would notify them in some other way. So you could send them an email saying, hey, there's going to be a conference during this time. This is my open office hours. The calendar is a great tool for that. So you could just click on the calendar in Canvas and just click on the date that you're going to have your conference and just make it an event, and then say, open office hours, and you're going to have your time that it's going to go to. And the location, you could just say the conferences tab, and then the calendar is going to be the course that you are sending this event out to. And then click submit. And now this is going to be a good reminder for your students that this is coming up. And you may want to use a couple of different methods to make it very clear to them and make sure they know that you've got that conference coming up. So when you're ready to start your conference, click back on my dashboard. And we'll get into our conferences tab here. And when I'm ready to start it, I'm just going to click the start button. So we'll go ahead and click start and cross our fingers that it will open successfully. So this is going to ask us, how would we like to join the audio? Normally you would say a microphone if you want your students to be able to hear you. In this case, I'm going to click listen only, and that's just because I am using my mic with Zoom right now to host this meeting, and I don't want anything to go wrong with two platforms both trying to access my mic right now. So while this is connecting, this is one of the sort of limitations here of the big blue button. And it worked just fine now. I've been getting pretty good reviews actually from what I've been hearing from instructors who have been using this for their office hours, that it's actually been working pretty well for them. However, I will say, just because of the demand on the system right now, with people, students and instructors all over the world trying to conduct their courses online, Big Blue Button is definitely experiencing way more volume than it does under normal circumstances. And there's times where you can tell that it's really taxing the system. Lately, when I've gotten in just to kind of, test it out, I've gotten in fine. But I just kind of want to caution you not to build your entire, other than, of course, not requiring students to log in, you also don't want to bank everything on on this, just in case that time that you're getting in there, it happens to be bogged down and you're having technical issues. So that's kind of my disclaimer there. So we will go ahead and look over here first at our different settings over on the left-hand side. So when you first get in, you're going to see yourself over here listed as one of the users. And underneath there, you'll see a list of any students that are in there with you. In the settings here, you will click Manage Users. And I recommend, just like with all of you, in case you haven't noticed, all of your mics are currently muted right now. And that's not because I don't want to hear from you. It's just because when you are having a meeting or a conference with a lot of people, you will hear people's TV in the background. You will hear their dog barking. You're going to have all kind of background noise. So my recommendation is to just mute everybody from the start. Later, if you wanted to, for whatever reason, you could always come back and enable mics again. But it does seem to kind of work better to sort of mute everybody. And then down here at the bottom is where students can still ask questions. So it's the same way that I've asked you to submit your questions. And that's going to be through the chat. And so you can type in there, your students can type in, and everybody can see the questions that are being asked. So the other options here in the settings are going down here. You do have the ability to create breakout rooms for your students. So if you wanted to allow a couple of students to work together in their own conference room without other students in there, maybe you're doing a conference to allow students to work on a group project or something, you can always click this Create Breakout Rooms button. And then here is where you will manage the breakout rooms. So you can designate how many rooms you want. Of course, I'm the only person in here right now. But here is where you would set the number of minutes that you want your breakout conference to last. And then when it's done, it's going to put everybody back into the main conference room. And then you can just drag and drop your participants into whatever groups you want to put them in. Or you can click randomly assign, and that's going to allow you to just have them put into random groups. So the breakout rooms, they can be very helpful for certain projects, or if you want to maybe have a smaller group discussion, that kind of thing. And then you would either click Create if you're ready, or I'm going to actually just click Close now. So over here on the right side, this is your presentation area. So if you were wanting to upload a presentation to the Big Blue Button interface, you would do that by clicking on the plus sign down in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. And you would click Upload a Presentation, and then you're going to browse for files on your computer. And I think I have a PowerPoint in here. There we go. So then you can just select the file that you want, double click, and it's letting you know that this is going to be uploaded. I'll click the upload button. The longer the PowerPoint is, the longer it takes to convert and upload. And then it'll put it right there in your screen so that you can talk and you can have your students see what you are seeing once it actually uploads. I should pick a smaller PowerPoint for my demonstration here. So once it's done, it's going to go ahead and open it up right here in this interface here. So you can click through, you can have your students see what you're looking at. And you would get to your next slide by clicking on the number of the slide. So you also have a couple of other options here, and you could also start a poll if you want to, might be a little bit more engaging. If you had an external video that you wanted to share that was going to be outside of something that you've uploaded to the big blue button, you can click this and it'll allow you to import an external video. You also can click this share your screen button here if you wanted to share something outside of this big blue button interface. So if it was something, let's say an Excel spreadsheet, I had a question about that last time. You had an Excel spreadsheet that you wanted to be able to demonstrate something to your students on. That's not going to be a presentation that you can just upload here, but you can just click the share your screen button, and that's going to allow you to show them something that's outside of this window here. You also could share your webcam if you want, and that's just similar to what we're doing right now in Zoom. So they're just going to see a little window with your webcam, and they'll be able to see you. And normally they'll be able to hear you as soon as you access or as soon as you activate Big Blue button, because you will be allowing it to use your mic. If you wanted to use the whiteboard here, or if you want, if you wanted to annotate, there is also annotating tools over here. So if you wanted to type text on a blank screen, you could do that on a blank slide. You could also draw different shapes. You can underline things with a pencil. If you want to allow multiple users to be able to access this whiteboard, so your students allowed to do that, you can turn this multi-user whiteboard on as well. So up here at the top, you're going to notice this start recording button. I did not record this particular one, but I do want to point out that if you were wanting to record your presentation so that you can post it onto Canvas for your students to see, or actually you won't even need to post it, it'll just show up there, you would need to click the start recording button. And I do want to point out that one of the reasons that under different circumstances, Zoom might be preferable is to the conferences tool is that the recording is stored directly in Canvas, and it's only going to be stored there for 2 weeks. So if you use this to record something, to record a video that you want to put on Canvas, it's only going to be there for 2 weeks. And so when we get into Zoom, you might want to consider if you're using it as a method to record a lecture or something, Zoom might be the better option, because that's going to record it right to your computer so that you will still have that recording after that 2-week time period. But if it's something that you're okay with that, then you can always just use the Zoom recording. Or I'm sorry, the conferences recording. Okay, so I am going to get out of this interface in just a second, but if you have any questions about anything with the conferences interface here specifically, if you want to go ahead and type that into the chat before I get out of here, that way I can still have this up as my visual aid. And if not, then we'll go ahead and I'll show you what happens when you're finished. So when I am ready to end my conference, I can click on this kebab here, and I can click end meeting. So I'm going to see, do I have a
we have a question that came in.
Okay, what's that?
Just curious, for breakouts, is that rooms, or can you have people since everyone is virtual?
So I'm not sure. So the breakout rooms are really for you to be able to divide up your meeting attendance, your conference participants, into smaller groups. I'm not sure if I answered that. If not,
can you have several people in one room?
Oh yes, absolutely. Yes, you would. I only had me, so I couldn't give you a great demonstration of that. But yes, you would definitely want to put multiple people into the same room together, into the same breakout room, so that they could, chat or do whatever it is they needed to do.
That's all. No other questions have come through.
All right, great. So I am going to go ahead and end this big blue button meeting. I do want to end this session, so I'm going to click yes. And it's going to take me back to my course. So I am going to click on my conferences tab again, just to kind of show you. Now, a lot of times it's going to still say it's in progress here, so I just usually go ahead and click end again and click OK. And if you have set it so that the conference is going to be recorded, which I showed you, you would need to set that setting before the meeting starts and then click the record button after the meeting starts. So it's a two-step process. What will happen is if you have a recording, it's going to show up down here under the concluded conferences. So you'll see the name of the conference, and then you will also see a link underneath that that will take you to your recording. Now, another indication that the system is really bogged down right now, I've had a couple of instructors who had a lot of time go by before they're concluded. Well, not a lot, but 6 hours, which is kind of, if you're waiting there for it, before the conference showed up. So the conference concluded and they didn't have that recorded version for 6 hours later. And, everything, all these systems are kind of taxed right now, but it did show up and it was fine. It just took a little longer than it usually would. So if you have any questions at all about the conferences tool in Canvas, go ahead and you can go ahead and ask those. And in the meantime, I am going to go ahead and switch over to talking about Zoom. So Zoom is another video conferencing service, and it is not built into Canvas because this is a third-party vendor that we do not have a contract with at the college. So basically, if you are wanting to set up a Zoom account, that's something that you will do on your own. We don't have Zoom accounts that we can provide to people. I created my own, the one that you are in right now. And you'll need to do the same. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through quickly how to create a Zoom account, and it's definitely not complicated. So if you just kind of search for Zoom in your search engine, you'll see the Zoom conferencing site, and you can click on that. And you will see up in the upper right-hand corner, it's going to say sign up, it's free. And you will click on that. And you will put in your email address. And what's going to happen is you will get an email sent to your email address that's going to have an activation link that you just need to click on. And it's going to take you back to Zoom, and it's going to prompt you to set up a username and password, and then you will have your account. It does not take very long. I do want to mention that initially, when all of this we realized everything was going to have to be online, Canvas had said they were kind of partnering with Zoom as another option for video conferencing. And so they were offering to educational accounts. Basically, they said if you put your school email address in, then they would approve you and your institution for a free upgrade on the Zoom account. And so I did that on behalf of the college. Well, since then, I never heard anything. And since then, I looked back and they've changed it from schools in general to K-12. So I've contacted the Zoom support and asked them about this because they definitely did not specify. It made it sound like when I applied that higher education could do this as well. And now I'm thinking that they just were overwhelmed with requests, and now they've limited it to just K-12. However, just in case, I would recommend just use your Camden County College email address, because if they do end up at some point extending and we'll talk about the differences between the free account and the pro account, but if they do end up extending that upgrade to us, it's going to go based on your email address, and it would apply to anybody with a Camden County College email address.
Ginny, is there any benefit to signing in with your Google account as opposed to signing up with your email or Facebook?
So that the only benefit is like what I just described, that if we do end up getting that upgrade, they're gonna go by basically your email address. So if you have the Camden County College email address in there, then you would be given that upgrade as well. Whereas if you're just signing in with Google or Facebook, you're going to have that free account. Now that's all we have right now anyway, so it may not end up mattering. And you could always do it with Google or Facebook, and then later, if we find out that we did get that upgrade, make a new account. But we did it. I did it with my Camden County College email address, and plus that way I'm kind of keeping any work-related Zoom meetings separate. So that's the only benefit that I can think of for that. So that's a good question. Were there any other, is that it for questions for now?
That's all we have.
Okay, great. All right, so once you do have your Zoom account, you can, let me get into Zoom here. My controls are in my way. Give me 1 second. There we go. So I'm just going to search for Zoom, and I'm going to just show you what it looks like to set up a Zoom meeting. So when you are signed into your account, after you've hit that button to confirm your account that they send you in your email, you will be able to click on your little profile button here. I haven't put a profile picture, but you could. And then you're going to see over on the left-hand side, this is all your different links to take you to the different areas within Zoom. So I would recommend just clicking the schedule a meeting button. And if you want to get back and just look at all the meetings that you have scheduled, you can click on meetings. So with your meeting, you're going to give it a topic, again, a description, and that's going to be up to you how you want to describe that. You're going to give the meeting a date, and it's always by default, it's going to pick the next hour that's coming up. And then your duration, so how long you want this to last. Now here is where the free account limitations come into play. If you are only going to be meeting with one person, so one student, you can have that meeting last as long as you'd like. If you are meeting with multiple students, so your whole class or a larger group, with the free account, you're limited to a 40-minute meeting. Now, I've heard different things. I haven't sat in a meeting for 40 minutes with people to see what will happen. By the way, this meeting will not end after 40 minutes. I ended up just going ahead and upgrading on my own because I had a meeting last week that had ended up with a lot of people in it that I was worried would get cut off. So I just went ahead and it's $15 for the monthly fee. So I just went ahead and did that. But if you have the basic version, I've heard it bumps people out after 40 minutes, but then I've also heard Rose had actually mentioned that someone that she knew it gave them more time. So I think it's kind of inconsistent, and I wouldn't bank on that happening. So that's really the limitation of the free account, is that time limit, and that is what they are offering or were offering to waive for educational institutions, is that time limit. So down here, you definitely want to put your time limit in, or I'm sorry, your time zone in, so that you're students know what time to meet with you. And then down here, I would recommend under the video option, you can turn yours on. Mine is on right now. I would turn your participants off. And that's kind of more of a security thing because there have been some issues reported, not at our institution at all, but of larger institutions that had very large groups of people that were all meeting at the same time and having things that they were putting up on their screens that were profane and inappropriate for class. And so I'm just going to kind of mention a couple of things about trying to avoid that happening. So if you're not allowing them to share video, that's one good way to prevent that from happening. And then down here, if you want to record the meeting, you can click record the meeting automatically. So the nice thing about Zoom is, let's say that you are wanting to record a lecture that you're not even going to have students participating in. You just want to be able to record a video so that your students can see you, can see your screen, you can demonstrate whatever concept it is that you're wanting to demonstrate. Zoom is a great tool for that because, again, it's free. The free version will allow you to record a video as long as you need it to be because you're not going to have any participants in it. And so you would want to just click that record the meeting automatically. And since I paid for the upgraded version, I have the in the cloud option, but you'll just have on the local computer, which is all I use anyway. And then you'll just click save. And then what will happen is you're going to be given a join URL. And this is basically the exact way that I invited you to join my meeting. This is how you would do that for your students if you were having them join a meeting with you. So you could create an announcement, which is what I did, or you could, email it to them. But basically, there's not a way to have them register, but they'll just click on this link when it's time to join the meeting, and it will put them right into the meeting with you. When you're ready, you'll click start the meeting, and your students will be able to join. But I do want to talk a little bit more about using this as a way to record, because again, this is a great way to do kind of a screencast type recording where they can see you or not, but you can show whatever you need to show on your desktop, and they'll be able to look at your PowerPoint or whatever it is that you're demonstrating. So I am sharing my screen right now. And one way that you could share your PowerPoint, actually, let me get out of this one. One way that you could share something is just basically by pulling it up on your computer. The other way is you can select to share a PowerPoint. And so we're going to look at some of these different options here. So I actually took some screenshots of what Zoom looks like from the presenter point of view because I wanted you to be able to see. I can't really show you my controls. So I wanted to sort of just show you what that's going to look like. So, and you have a version of controls as a participant that's going to look very similar to what this looks like. But this is a little bit different when you're looking at the controls that you are going to see. So first of all, you're going to see a little green box up at the top that's going to have the ID number, and you'll need to hover over that to cause the full control menu to expand up here. So this is the join audio, and it's going to pick a audio device, a mic, by default, but if you want to just double check and make sure that it has your correct microphone, you'll want to click this join audio button, because if you're wanting to record your voice, you just need to make sure. So earlier today, it was stuck on my computer, like my default webcam mic, and I wanted to use my headset mic. So I had to just come up here, click this, and then it allowed me to choose a different mic. So that's one that you're gonna just wanna make sure that you do have the microphone that you're wanting to use. If you want your face to be visible in the video that you're making, you're gonna wanna click the Start Video button, and that will allow this little window, like what you're seeing of me, to be visible in the upper right-hand corner or wherever you move it to, and they'll still be able to see your screen. And then the Manage Participants button here, this is going to, if you are having students that are joining your conference, this is going to allow you to mute people. You can click here, you can choose to mute everyone, or if you have individuals that you want to unmute. So it's nice if you have a student that has a question, you can have everyone else muted, but you can click Manage Participants and enable that one student's mic so that you can hear them and the rest of the class can hear them, but you don't have that kind of uncontrolled situation where you've suddenly enabled, 20 people's mics. Apologize, let me get to my next slide here. So this is what the participants screen looks like. So you can click, I recommend muting all again from the beginning, and then you can enable people's mics as necessary. And then this is what the share screen looks like. So if you click this new share button up at the top, you will see this first option here is basically just going to show whatever is on your screen, and that's what I have enabled right now for all of you to see. You also could enable a whiteboard if you wanted to, or if you just wanted to pull up a PowerPoint, so rather than, and you can do it the way I'm doing it, which is just having the PowerPoint up and sharing my screen, or you can just click the PowerPoint that you want to show, and that's going to allow you to have that PowerPoint up in the full screen for your students to see. And then if you do choose to use the whiteboard, you're going to have a lot of different tools here that you can use to annotate, again, to draw. It's a little bit more robust of a platform than what you have in conferences. You have some more options here. I haven't tried it myself, but from my research looking into it, I do believe, and I would try this first and make sure that it does work for you, but I had a question from an instructor a while back asking if it's possible to use a tablet with a stylus if you're trying to draw something, because drawing with a mouse is cumbersome and takes a while. And you cannot do that with conferences, but I do believe you should be able to do that with the Zoom platform. So if that's something that you're wanting to do. But again, the cool thing is that you can always, with your free account, you can come in, you can start a meeting with just you and just come in and play around with what's in there. Additionally, since it's just a link that you're sending out and you don't have to have somebody that is also a member of Camden County College with a Canvas account, you could just send the link to, a friend or significant other or whatever and say, hey, can you join my Zoom meeting for a few minutes so that I can test everything out and see what it looks like from a presenter perspective when I actually have a participant in there. So that is what I did. I came in and I played around with everything to make sure that I knew exactly what it was that I was looking at. And then if you're looking for the for more options here, up in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see this More button here. And this is where you can expand the chat. You can get to the place where you would end a meeting if you need to. And oops, let me get out of there. So that is what it's going to look like from from your perspective. There's this here. And it's pretty similar, actually. The menu that you get is actually pretty similar to what you're seeing right now, but you obviously do have more control over the meeting from the host perspective. So once you have finished recording, or once you are finished with the meeting, you're going to click End Meeting, and then it's going to automatically pop up a notice that tells you that it is converting your video. And again, the nice thing about the Zoom interface is that it records that video right to your computer. The very first time that I did this, I wasn't exactly sure where it was saving that recording. So basically what I did, I just came down to my start menu and I just did a search, and I searched for Zoom. And for me, it had saved mine in my documents folder. So if I go to my documents, I have a folder called Zoom, and that's where it saved all of my meetings automatically. And that's where this one will be found when I'm done. When you search for it, you're going to find a folder that has your recording in it. And if you double click on it, you're going to see there's several different files here for each Zoom recording that you do. There's an audio only. There is a recording of the chat, if the chat was used. If it's not a video that has participants in it, you won't have a file for that. And then this Zoom, so this is going to be the playback is the video only. And then this Zoom button here that kind of has that little video icon on it. This is the file that you're going to want if you want the whole video. So this will be the audio, video, and everything else. So depending on how long the video is, it may be a little bit long, although 133 megabytes is actually not bad. So what I do for all the videos that I have created for the Faculty Hub, which I forgot to plug that at the beginning. I'll have to put that at the end because I always have to mention it. But what I have done for that is I've uploaded all my videos to YouTube, and then I link to YouTube. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. But I want to go ahead and, Rose, were there any other questions about anything so far to do with Zoom?
No, any questions that came in, I answered.
Awesome. Okay. So if you have anybody has any questions about the Zoom interface or anything, let me also mention at this point, Rose and I, we try to answer questions the best that we can, but we don't work for Zoom. So I've had a few questions about people's accounts and things like that, and I would love to be able to help you out with your Zoom account, but unfortunately I have a regular Zoom account just like anybody else will have, so we're really limited as to what we can tell you about your Zoom account. We don't have access to anybody's Zoom account, and you can always contact the Zoom customer service. They're a little bogged down right now and slow, but if you ask us a question about specifically about your Zoom account, there's not really a whole lot we can do to help you with that because we don't have access to any of that information. Okay, so and this is just my recommendation. So this is an MP4 file. So you have a couple of ways that you can put this into your course. So I am going to pull Canvas back up here. So one way that you can put a video that you have recorded into your course is to just upload it directly as a file. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. And it's definitely an option, especially if maybe it's a video that's not super long. Sometimes with longer videos, there are occasionally issues with just uploading big files in general. So If you have a really long session that you're trying to upload, it would probably be better to link it to YouTube first, and I'll show you how I do that as well. But let's just say I want to just upload my video directly into Canvas. I'm going to click on the plus sign here, and I'm just going to say add file. And since I don't have my video file in here yet, I'm going to click new file and then choose file. And again, I would recommend searching for your Zoom folder that Zoom has recorded your video into before you do this. So that way it'll be easier to find when you're in Canvas. So, and it probably puts them all in documents and then the Zoom folder. But if you can't find it, just search for it. And I'm going to try to find one that's short. There we go. And I'm just going to double click on this. It's always look for that video option there. And I'm going to click add item. Now, I don't know if it'll do it for this, but for some items it will. If it's longer, it'll say come back later, it's being processed. But I think this one was short enough that it didn't do that. So now this video is right here. My students can access it. If they click on it, we'll see if it works. Nope, it's been queued for conversion. So sometimes these take a little while. Students can download it directly, or they can just, once it has been converted, it will pop up in this window. Now, again, things being what they are right now and everything being kind of overtaxed and slowed down, I've even had an instructor that just tried to upload not a very large audio file, and it's taken several days for this conversion to happen. So this is another reason why maybe just putting it in YouTube would be preferable. So I'm just going to show you how to do that. And again, I know we end up having all these different accounts for everything, but I'm going to click, I'm going to go to YouTube, and we have an e-learning YouTube account we can link to. And so once you have your account, you're going to just click this create video button and then just say upload video. And again, it's going to ask you to select your file from your computer. And so, oh, look, it already took me right to my Zoom folder. Actually, I'm going to pick a different one because this one is going to tell me that I've already saved it. Let me go back to my documents. Don't think I used this one. So it's going to upload, it's going to want a title, a description. You always have to scroll down, and it wants to know if it's made for kids or not. So you always have to say, no, it's not made of kids. It's not made for kids. Sample video, let me give it a title so that it doesn't reject it. And over here, even before you even finish it, it's gonna go ahead and give you a link that you can use. So even if it hasn't processed yet, you can just go ahead and copy that link. You'll click next, and under save or publish, you can choose to make it public, which means that anybody can find it. I generally make all of the e-learning division's videos public, but I know some people they're not real eager to have their videos just searchable by anybody. So my recommendation for that would be to make it unlisted. Basically, no one's going to stumble across your video by doing a search on YouTube. It's going to come up as just only for people meaning your students, that have a link to it. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy this link address. So then you'll click save. And depending on how long it is, it may take a little while to get finished. The other benefit that, let me click close here. The other benefit that I forgot to mention here that is important about using YouTube as kind of your intermediary rather than just uploading the file to your course is you can easily provide captions with YouTube. So if you did have anybody with hearing difficulties, that makes sure that your video is accessible. And I don't know if this one is done yet here. So I'm going to click the full screen button here. I don't think it's done processing yet, which is why it's looking a little grainy. Once it's finished though, you'll be able to come in and you'll be able to click settings and enable captions on your video. And I do have directions on that in the Faculty Hub on how to add your captions or enable captions for your video. So now that I've got my link for my video, I am going to go to Pages in my course. I'm going to click Add Page to create a new page. And the easiest way to do this is just to click on this second button here. This is your Insert or Edit Media button. And you can just paste the URL for your video right there in the source and click OK. And there is your video right there. And then you'll just click Save and Publish, and then you'll want to add that to your module for your students to access. So again, this happened way quicker than just uploading that file straight to Canvas. I don't know if that's ready yet, but this is the exact same video. And YouTube does actually process videos and get them uploaded very quickly. And it's a nice, easy way to put those items straight into your course, or right into the link right into your course rather than just uploading it. So if anybody has any questions about this, so once you have, if you are using this as an option for your open lab hours or open office hours, again, you'll want to send an invitation to your students once you've created that Zoom conference so that they know when it is and so that they have the link for it. Did you have, were there any questions, Rose?
No, there were not.
Okay, awesome. All right, so that is basically what I have for you today. Rose, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
No, I did not. I think you covered everything very well.
All right, awesome, thank you. So again, we know that this is a huge transition, and again, we're trying to be as flexible as possible for students, so not requiring them to have to be logged into Canvas at a certain time as part of that. And recording this and using this as a tool to record your lectures really provides that flexibility that we're trying to provide for students. So if you have any questions, I will hang out here for a few minutes. If not, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and just everybody stay healthy and try to stay sane. Being inside all the time, I know that's taxing. And if you've got any questions or anything that you think of later, you can always email me at jmagee, Jmagee, at camdencc.edu. And if you don't have questions, then have a great afternoon.
Yep, no questions have come through, just thanking you for your presentation.
All right, awesome. You are so welcome, everybody.
Still no new questions.
Okay. I'll give it one more minute and then I will end things.
Okay. Nice turnout, 28 people altogether.
Yeah, nice. It went way smoother with you being here, I think. Rather than having to stop talking and check the chat and scroll through, that definitely was not my best
Well,
organizational strategy.
you weren't expecting 96 people the last time, so.
That is quite true. Yes, that was very a lot more than I expected. So, all right. Well, I guess I'll end it. So,
All right.
all right. Thanks, Rose. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye.